If you're looking for a nicely balanced upgrade for your 2015 to 2020 5-liter powered F-150's exhaust, then the Flowmaster Force 2 will be just what you're after. Combining classic good looks with a smooth, deep baritone rumble and a more than acceptable amount of volume, the Force 2 system has it all and a little bit more, and it's perfect for a daily driven truck. Now, unlike a lot of exhausts, this one airs more on the subtle side of things, especially as far as sound is concerned. Therefore, we're going to give this one a solid 3 out of 5 on our loudness meter. It's more than enough for you to enjoy it, but not enough that you'll have your neighbors shaking their fists as you drive by. Many people think of Flowmaster as being one of the loud exhaust companies, but they've got a lot more than just noise to contribute, especially here. This system gives the 5-liter Coyote V8 under the hood of your F-150 more of that Mustang-inspired rumble that we all love, and it's a sound these trucks probably should have had rolling right off the factory floor. It's got a smooth, bassy grumble to it, but it's not too loud. And while you'll never mistake this engine for a full-on race car, the Force 2 gives the 5-liter a lot more character, and it just flat out sounds great. It's much more like what you get on an older truck, and it lets you know exactly what's thumping away under the hood, but it's also not going to wreck your eardrums. Now, as always, more volume on the outside means more volume on the inside. However, inside the cabin, this setup is perfectly pleasant. There's just a bit more rumble versus stock, so listening to your favorite song or podcast, having a conversation, or taking a family on a long road trip will be no sweat. Even if you put in a ton of miles on the day-to-day, this is going to give you that extra sound you've been missing without sacrificing your hearing or your sanity. And that is all thanks to the inclusion of the Super 50 series muffler. Now, this is a 3-chamber muffler with a resonance chamber built in here, so it's going to keep things a little bit more subdued. It allows for less restriction and better flow than your factory setup, which can also result in more power and better response. Plus, to finish the entire thing off, you get a set of these 4-inch polished tips. Now, these are a really nice size, and they give you that classic dual exhaust look. In this system, they exit out the back right under the rear bumper, just like you'd find in an old school hot rod. It's a great classic look that really works well with these trucks, and it gives them a nice visual boost as well. The piping here is all mandrel bent 409 grade stainless steel, providing you with really good corrosion resistance. The piping is 3 inches into the muffler and then 2.5 inches the rest of the way back. That muffler is also made from 409 grade stainless steel, but it's finished in this high temp black paint for added rust and corrosion protection. The muffler again features that 3-chambered internal design with some technology from Flowmaster's own Delta Flow units also thrown in. And of course, you've got the dual polished tips. Now, these are 4 inches in diameter, and they are made from T304 stainless steel for even more protection. Pricing comes in at about $1,200. Now, that's not exactly pennies, but it is actually a pretty reasonable price for an exhaust for these trucks, especially for a dual exit catback. It's made better by the good looks and the tolerable volume. So if you want good sound without having to sacrifice your hearing or a ton of money, this is a perfect setup for your truck. Installation will get a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and it should take you about 2 hours to complete the job. This is going to be a bolt-on kit that comes with everything you need to get it installed, and it utilizes all your factory exhaust hanger locations. Plus, there's even a new hanger for the driver's side over axle pipe, but all you've got to do is bolt that on, so you don't need to modify anything permanently on your truck in order to get this fitted. So that said, let's head on out to the shop and we'll walk you through the install process step by step.
For this install, you'll need various impacts, a pry bar, a ratchet, 13, 14, and 15 millimeter sockets, 13 and 14 millimeter wrenches, some penetrating lubricant, and also not shown here is a jack and jack stands or a pole jack. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing an exhaust on our F-150, but before we get started, we're going to send you to watch a quick video on how to remove your factory system, and we'll see you when you get back.
Before we get our new exhaust installed, we have to get the old one out of the way. That is going to be pretty easy. All that's holding this exhaust onto our truck are going to be these two 13 millimeter bolts on this flange here. Now, it is sitting in some exhaust hangers. We're going to give those a good dose of PB Blaster to loosen them up as well. Now, these two bolts are in a decently tough spot. If you plan on using an impact gun, you might need a U-joint, but you should be fine with a ratchet. Now, if the exhaust's never been off your truck before either, might be a good idea to hit these with a dose of PB Blaster as well. So at this point, our exhaust is loose on the truck. It's just sitting in those hangers. Now, since we're up on a lift, we're going to take this out all in one shot. I'm gonna remove it and then shimmy it over the axle and under that crossbar up by that flange. It should all come out in one piece. If you are working on the ground, you might have to make some cuts to this to get it out. I'm gonna use a pry bar to help persuade it through those hangers.
Alrighty guys, welcome back. Now that we have our factory setup off, it's time to start installing our new system. And what we're going to do is start with our mid pipe that's going to go to our factory 2-bolt flange and our first hanger. So what we'll do is get our pipe up, we'll get our hanger into our isolator, and then get our flange lined up and loosely bolted in. Line our hanger up first with our isolator. You can push that all the way back. Be able to get our flange over our cross member. Back forward. We can let that rest for just a second. So we get our bolts and flat washers through the back side, like so. We can get our flat washer and lock washer on our first bolt, followed by our first nut. Then we can do the same thing for the other bolt. So our next step is going to be to install our muffler. Now we do have a pole jack underneath the hanger side of our mid pipe to kind of help hold it in position. We're going to grab our provided clamp, get that over our single inlet side. Then we'll slip this on to our mid pipe. Make sure that gets fully seated. Then we can move our pole jack over to our muffler. Alright guys, so next we're going to install our passenger side over axle. So what we're going to do is install our provided clamp onto our slip joint on our muffler outlet. So we'll get that in place. Then we can take our over axle pipe. Now you want to position this with the slip joint and your hanger isolator. Line this up. If you need to drop the pole jack down, you can. Get that through, make sure it seats fully at your slip joint. Now we're going to do the same thing for our driver's side over axle. That's going to be the one without the tail. And we're going to get our hanger lined up into our factory isolator on our cross member, as well as install our provided slip joint clamp. All right, so now since this is a dual exhaust system, which from the factory we do not have, we're going to need to add in a hanger for our driver's side outlet section. So we've got our hanger and our bolt. Let me get that through. We're going to come between our leaf spring and our frame. We're going to go to this bottom circle here right behind our cross member. Get this bolt all the way through. You want your hanger rod to be pointing towards the middle of the vehicle. Now once we have our backing plate in, we're going to add in our lock washer and nut. And we'll come in and tighten this down. Now we're going to tighten this down with a 14mm wrench and a 14mm socket on our impact. Now that we have our hanger installed, we're going to install our isolator. Now I do have these lubed up. You can use penetrating lubricant or whatever suits you or whatever you have. Get this on, just like so. All right, so next what we're going to do is install our crossover pipe. So we're going to line up our hanger with that isolator we just installed. We're also going to install our provided clamp onto our slip joint, just like so. We'll get this lined up. It's easier to get it into the isolator first and adjust your over axle as needed. It's okay if it moves around a bit for now. We'll adjust this when we get it in. Just make sure that comes back off of your leaf spring. Next, we can install our outlet pipes. Now this is going to be the same for both sides. You have an S-bend and your provided clamp. So you want to get that over. Slip joint, seat your outlet pipe in. As you can see, these are going to drop. So what we're going to do is come in and just snug our clamp down enough to hold it in position, because we may need to make adjustments, but we do want to sit in the general area where we want our tips to come out. So to tighten that down, we got our 15mm socket on our impact. Get this lined up. And we just want this pointing in the general direction. Just enough so it won't move on its own. And once you have this side on, you can do the same thing for the other side. Next, we're going to install our tips. Slide this over. Make sure that's fully seated. Now these do have a slight slash cut, so you want them to be facing up. As you can see, we're going to have to bring this up. That's okay, we just want to use this as general directions for now. And we're going to snug down our clamp. Now we're going to tighten down our tip clamp. Now I very highly recommend using hand tools to tighten this down. Using an impact on this can damage the clamp itself. So what we're going to do is grab our 13mm wrench and 13mm socket on a ratchet. And again, we're just going to snug this down enough for now to hold its position. All right, so now we're going to adjust our outlet pipe and bring our tip up to where we want it to sit. Loosen this clamp just a hair. Still able to move everything. That's what we want. I'm going to tighten this down. And what you'll want to do is match the other side to this side. Now we're going to go in and tighten down all of our clamps and our 2 bolts at our flange, and we'll double check everything to make sure it's lined up still how we want it and also not hitting or rubbing on anything. So we've got our 15mm socket. We'll get our clamp in position. Next, we'll tighten down our 2 muffler outlet clamps. Followed by our muffler inlet clamp. Now we'll tighten down our 2 flange bolts with our 14mm wrench and our 14mm socket. We want to tighten these down evenly. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Flowmaster Force 2 dual exhaust system with polished tips and rear exit for your 15 to 25 liter F-150. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.